Dzisiaj mi dalej coś się zjebało z poprzednim streamem i trochę się jebać.
The White Ship. She was one of the fastest vessels that was ever built. The man who should be king of the English now, the son of King Henry, was on board when she sailed off. And with the prince there were 140 knights and many nobles, all on their way from Normandy to England. They say the ship hit the rocks, and then a fire broke out. Even before the White Ship had departed, the prince and his men had begun to drink and get violent. Monks that were meant to bless the voyage were then forced to disembark. Some say the ship had been cursed. The king's son and many of his family were pulled down into the Black Sea that night.
Trzecia księga, ja słyszałem trzecią księgę.
You're forgetting one important detail. Not only these monks, but also Stephen of Blois, the king's nephew, left the ship before it embarked. They say he got ill.
That old rumor.
The same Stephen who calls himself the King of the English now.
What? That cannot be a coincidence.
Yes, it can be. Of course he's king now. He survived. He is the king's nephew.
What do you think, my lord?
I think Stephen is a clever man. Clever enough to have his whole family perish. But why he would want to rule that god-forsaken rock, I will never understand.
What makes you say that? I love my country.
Then why are you leaving?
Well, because I want to see something new.
I'll tell you what you're going to see. A proper country, where people know how to behave.
What about you? Why are you leaving?
I had no reason to stay.
Really? Huh. I guess I should stay out of other people's business. Forgive me.
You English do talk a lot, don't you?
I just don't know how to feel about leaving my country for the first time. I mean, how should anyone feel?
Excited?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just running away.
You should all get some rest. It will not be long now till we reach Cherbourg.
Thank the Lord. I can't wait to be back.
King Paul, beloved air. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. O kurde, mamy księga trzecia. Trzecia księga.
In the late summer of 1142, I had left my home country, England, for good. My old life lay in shambles, as did my former home of Kingsbridge. Having failed both my friends and family, I had set out to find my baby's father, the man I still loved with all my heart, Jack Jackson. And so early one morning in July, I finally arrived on the shores of Normandy. With nothing on me but a pouch of coin and a young, curious face yet unnamed, who was just as unfamiliar to this new world as was I. Where did you go? You're still here.
Oh. I'm just trying to get my feet used to good solid ground again. The last bit of our voyage wasn't exactly my pint of ale.
That hammer you're carrying.
Actually, I am.
I guess I just know a mason.
To be honest, I haven't been one long. Just finished my apprenticeship in Salisbury. Before that, I used to shear sheep with my parents. But I guess that wasn't real. Father still hates me for leaving, though.
I left...
Scary, isn't it? To start off fresh and all that.
Well, you definitely...
Oh, I am
I don't know. What will you do to find...
Don't know. That's for me to find out. All I heard was that the wages...
So, you'll just travel from town to town?
Right. And I was starting... A fellow mason told me about the abbey there. He said these Normans build their churches quite differently. I need to see that with my own eyes. Maybe...
Do many...
I dunno. The mason who told me just happened to do some repairs there once. It's likely he told others as well.
I'm looking for someone. A redhead. He came to France about a year ago or so.
A fellow mason? Great. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know a thing. After all...
I know, but should you meet, tell him Aliena of Shiring is looking for him.
All right. Jack Jackson. I'll keep an eye out for you.
Thank you. Have a safe journey.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Hey, you. That's quite a bundle you got there. Where are you headed?
Have you seen a... You must have landed here.
Another ginger in Normandy? I wouldn't have noticed. Maybe you should ask someone in Barfleur. That's where all the travellers come from. Their lot rarely lands in Cherbourg, with the fortress passing back and forth between Stephen of Blois and Geoffrey of Anjou. Why you even came to Cherbourg in the first place baffles me.
It was the earliest ship I could get.
You must be in some hurry.
Let's just say I needed to get away before I...
Fine with me. Who am I to judge?
What other route?
Oh, I don't... But Barfleur. Shake my...
Do you know the...
Been there, but I hope you're not planning to go there on foot. Tell you what, you give me some coin. You can even change your destination once we're on the road. Travelling by coach is a lot. Your little worm deserves some warmth and a...
Good day. I am looking for someone. A traveller who came through here last summer. Oh, hush now. I need to talk to this man.
Looks young.
He was born at the beginning of summer.
What's his name?
I haven't given him one yet.
You should. He needs to know who he is. Makes growing up a lot easier. You said you're looking for someone.
I'm looking for the boy's father.
From the look of your baby, I reckon his father has red hair like me, right? Well, I don't know every redhead around these parts. There are quite a few of us. Most of my family here in Cherbourg is ginger.
Oh, his name is Jack.
No. No, sorry. I haven't seen him. Maybe Amay saw him. She helps the sailors get their cargo.
I'll ask her. Well, thank you. Apart from Barfleur, what are...
Apart from Well, there's Harfleur. Sometimes people even... You could ask Amay to take you.
I might. I'm afraid I can't help.
Maybe I should become a mason then. Would definitely pay more than being a fisherman. Have a safe journey.
Changed your mind, Mad? You know,
All right.
All right. Where'd you need to be?
We went to Barfleur, a scenic port town built on granite. It was the biggest harbour in Normandy and the main entry point for the Normans to their new possession of the Isle of England. I talked to some of the sailors and fishermen, but no one had remembered seeing Jack. How could they? Almost a year had passed since he, a simple mason, had journeyed through. Maybe I was approaching this the wrong way. What had drawn him to France in the first place? Lessay was tiny, but as it turned out, worth the trip. In the small abbey church of the Trinity, I met a monk who claimed to have talked to a man fitting Jack's description. He'd been fascinated by the abbey's rib vaulting and had asked the monks countless questions about the place's construction. The monk apologized that he couldn't tell me where Jack... I lay down to sleep on the floor of the Abbey guest house and, for the first time in almost a year, I felt relief. As I drifted into sleep, I hugged our baby tight. My father had once told me tales of the Mont Saint-Michel. Long ago, the Archangel Michael had urged Hubert of Avranches to build an abbey on a lonely rock on the ocean by burning a hole into his head. They say one can go and see his penetrated skull on display in the church. It was a windy day when I arrived, and the place was crowded with pilgrims and jongleurs. I remembered Jack's fascination with these tellers of stories. I spoke to one who was just taking a break. Apparently, Jack had been hopelessly tracking jongleurs who might have known his father, Jack Cherbourg. But as he'd been gradually running out of money, he'd intended to look for work in Le Mans or Tours. Going to Le Mans reminded me of all the trouble I'd left behind in England. 30 years ago, Le Mans had been conquered by the Plantagenet Geoffrey of Anjou, Maud's husband. And although they'd held it ever since, there was no sign of Jack. But I got news of a new kind of cathedral being built in Saint-Denis, just north of Paris. It was possible that Jack had gone there to learn from the craftsmen. That was, if he hadn't travelled further south. Good day. Are you the master builder?
What is it?
I'm looking for a mason who may have passed through here. An Englishman with carroty hair.
A redhead?
Yes. Did you see him? He might...
No, I'm not looking for a new mason.
Ah, but was he here?
No, never seen him. Now, stand back, woman. Something could fall on your baby's head.
Are there other...
Well, yes.
And where would an outside...
Dunno.
May I...
No, they're busy.
Perhaps I'll talk to them...
It would be a...
I was...
Maybe.
Are you sure you have...
I am. All right, was working for me. But I had to throw him out after 2 or...
Why?
Because he was all want. Let me redesign the roof, let me make the nave lighter. All pretty ideas, but he never shut up long enough to do the work he was supposed to do. Shit, that man was almost as needy as my son when he was still a brat.
He does know a lot about his craft.
Well, I know masons like him. They grow up gifted, but without... I can't work with someone like that.
Do you know where he went next?
No idea. Maybe to Limoges or Angoulême. Seemed to have plans for every cathedral on God's green earth, but none for himself.
I understand. I'll leave you to it.
Bon voyage.
We had just left Tor when I suddenly felt dizzy. I stopped and made rest, trying to catch my breath, then lost my breakfast in a ditch. To my horror, our baby too had grown pale, his breath shallow like that of an old man. I tried not to panic. Back in Tor, the fever got worse. I remember people carrying me into a room, laying me on a bed. I tried to feed When I awoke, Jack was standing next to my bed. He scolded me for following him. "You know you could go anywhere you want," he whispered. I tried to answer, but he just opened the window and jumped out, heading toward ancient Greece, or maybe all the way to... The further I went, the angrier I got. For years, I'd been fighting for my family. I'd committed myself to an oath to my father. I'd built up a business to sustain it and even married a man I despised. I'd known nothing but my duty to the men in my life, while the man I was trying to find lived a life of casual irresponsibility. He traveled the world on a whim to learn about mathematics. When could I ever do anything just for myself? I'd travelled in a circle all the way to the edge of the world and back, only to return to the place of our failure. With my eyes closed, I listened to the sound of... When the last moat had settled, I opened my eyes again and found myself in a dirty little room. An old maid was sitting next to my bed and smiled at me, then handed... Oh, dear God, he still looked so pale. I tried to feed him, but he refused. Oh, please, God, I gently caressed his head until finally he put his mouth to my... We had both been spared. We rested one more day. This isn't a good place for... This isn't a good... I thank you, dear Lord.
All right, steady now.
I thank you for having spared my child. I thank you for...
Don't let go until it's done.
But why are you showing mercy on me? I failed everyone I cared about. I failed Jack. I failed my brother. And if I never return, I would also break the oath I had given Father. It's just that I feel like I've never had a life of my own. I've always fought for others. And this may be the very first time that I fight for something that I only want for myself. Maybe I should just go back and help rebuild Kingsbridge. Maybe Jack doesn't even care for me anymore. Amen. Huh. I've seen one of those before.
It's amazing, isn't it? The man who did that really had it in him.
What?
The spirit. It's a shame that in just 1 month he did so many things.
The master builder said he'd find...
The two didn't really see eye to eye, you know? To tell you the truth, everyone thinks that he feared for his own job, having someone like... The last thing Jack did was carve that corbel. It was the one thing the master let him do. Then when he was done, he was asked to leave.
Your master.
Jacques worked very hard on it. He was impatient and had a temper, but you could see that he tried to overcome it. Conquering that rock was very important to him.
Oh. Do you happen to know
He wanted to walk the pilgrim trail.
the Camino?
He said he might find someone there who knew his father.
Just one more thing. How was he when...
Relieved, I guess. He seemed ready for something new.
Thank you so much for your...
Think nothing of it. And good luck on your travels. May you find...
Isn't it odd? Just when you stop looking, like these 3 devices that one of my merchants brought back from Baghdad.
Oh no. Is it another one of your Banu Musa
They're not toys, Adriel. They're objects of scholarly I will let my valued friend from the north do the... Jack, if you... For one, let me draw your attention to the magnificent songbird on the table. And then to that wondrous donkey next to the entrance. Although, the most astounding thing of all stands right between them. That statuette? Ha ha, precisely. But one thing at a time, let us let Jack decide what to demonstrate first.
No, it's too... He likes to take his time, doesn't he?
On second... Otherwise, the other...
I agree.
What is he doing now?
Not much, I suppose.
Did you... And now? Now, Jack will heat the water. It's so beautiful it will make you cry. Just listen. But how
does it work?
Maybe it's...
Right.
Go on, Jack.
There's a hidden wheel inside. It turns an axle that in return raises and... These cylinders work like fingers playing a flute.
But who is blowing into the flute?
Steam.
Steam?
Yes. When I opened the pipe, it gradually pushed itself into the tube.
Power of steam. For once,
Of course!
Let's not get ahead of us. What else have you got, Rashid?
Anyone care for some tea?
Thank you, my daughter. We will have some as soon as Jack...
Mind if I watch?
Of course not.
So, who is this man, Rashid?
Jack
is a friend of the house. A brilliant man, a scholar and a talented artist. Just the other day, he explained Euclid to me.
I could watch this.
What is that? A Greek who wrote a book called The Elements of Geometry.
No, it's for the...
The Egyptians translated it into Arabic, and now the Englishmen are turning it into Latin.
How very peculiar.
Now, watch that. Just any moment now. There. Did you see?
It threw up.
Rashid, this is disgusting. Oh, Fath, would you kindly explain how it...
You see that bowl floating on top? At the bottom of that bowl is a small hole. Through it, the bowl is slowly filled. Once it's full, it sinks, pulling a string which makes the ball drop onto a weight. This, in return, pulls the bowl up again, emptying it,
thus resetting the entire mechanism.
If you timed it perfectly, you could make it drop a ball at
turning it into a clock.
For me, it's still nothing more than a puking dog.
Show us.
One could join those two and build a singing donkey clock. One song after every hour.
That would be pretty close.
I know. You could be the one to build.
Oh, that would be unfair. It's your invention.
I would let you have it. Or we...
You still haven't shown us. Of course. Jack? Oh, you will love.
She needs to be in a...
And now?
Just be patient, but don't look away. It takes some time for her to...
To do what?
Is it crying? Isn't that amazing?
No, it's irritating. Rashid, what is going on?
It's a mystery.
Rashid, we all know that there is no such thing as a man-made miracle.
And this piece of wood is very clear.
I very much agree, but so far...
All we know for certain is that her glassy eyes shed tears when you move her from warmth into cold.
Like a plant at sunrise. Like dew. The only difference is the sun.
I think you may...
Am I? Of course, I had no but if you can find out why there's dew gathering on a plant... So, who wants...
I'll have some.
Your daughter is quite something. I know. I'd rather she... It would make marrying her off, so...
Oh, I'm certain that won't stay a problem for long.
Maybe the dew originates from invisible water in the air. Water that stays hidden when it's hot.
The pilgrim trails across France converged at Osterbat, in the foothills of the Pyrenees. There, the group of 20 or so pilgrims who had been travelling alongside me since I'd left Tours swelled to about 70. Some were prosperous citizens, some probably on the run from justice. A few drunks, and several languages were spoken, including Flemish, a German tongue. Nevertheless, there was no lack of communication among them, and as we crossed the Pyrenees, they sang, played games, told stories, while my baby and I kept mostly to ourselves.
Ganz schön frech, die mit ihrem Kind.
Hush now. Hm?
Richtig dreist. Kann ein Mann nicht einfach mal seine Ruhe haben? Der Weg aus Babenberg war doch anstrengend genug. Ein Kind hat ja auch gar nicht verloren. Stimmt doch, oder?
Jetzt ist aber gut.
I'm sorry. He has to cry himself out. It will give you a strong voice one day, won't it? Do you have children? How long have you been I met pilgrims from as far east as... I am sorry. We'll go for a walk, so... Tomorrow. Dear Lord, you should get out of the...
My ring. I lost, dear Lord, please. Come back to me. Please come back to me. Where are you? Where did you go?
The cold will kill...
I can't leave.
I found it.
Yes! Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You are a very kind woman. So very, very kind.
I'm glad I could help.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Are you getting...
I am, thank...
I can see this ring.
It was a gift. She thought I would stay forever, but I didn't.
Tell me.
She was such a kind...
Why did you...
Oh, I thought I didn't, but she always said I was her daughter. But I was so selfish and so stupid.
Maybe you...
I I was very young, but in the end, the cold...
It was great. You did what your heart...
I was stupid.
Ah, that's why you went on...
Yes, so that St. James might see my devotion. I'm just not as kind.
Actually, I too am trying to make amends. I was told he went straight to Santiago.
You will know soon.
Not soon enough. It's still 4 weeks till...
He'll be there, I'm sure of it.
I hope so. I just feel that with every day that the only thing I can allow myself still to hope for is...
I understand.
Hey, hush. Not long now and I'll... The woman's name was Alba. She came from a small town somewhere in Catalonia. I quickly got used to her constantly feeling out for her stepmother's ring and the sad guilt that would always follow in her milky eyes. I wasn't sure if she appreciated my company, but I couldn't leave her on her own either. By the time we reached Los Arcos, she'd stopped talking, while I kept on dropping a kind word. Alba believed herself to be of weak mind and body, and yet she walked the Camino with a strong sense of purpose that willed her onward. It made me wonder about what I'd told her about my own journey, but what was there to forgive? My decision to marry Alfred had been in the best interest of the people of Shiring. It was a sacrifice I had to make to stop. Around Leon, the path began to gradually turn uphill. It was only 2 more weeks till we'd reached Santiago. The baby... After Astorga, the trail got more difficult. Alba became slower and slower, and we had to rest more. She became quiet again. The strain on her old... The next morning, she refused to get up. Her breathing was disturbingly shallow, and she hardly noticed me touching her forehead. "Everything hurts," she said, and urged me to continue. Of course, I stayed with her. I brought her food and water and sat by her side. But day after day, her condition grew worse. She kept on... I'd hardly known her. And most of the time, she'd tried to push me away, as if she considered herself, and it wasn't until a few moments before she died that, for the first time, she smiled at me. I still like to believe that here, in this unlikely place, dying next to a near stranger, she'd found a When I left, that thought still haunted me. To see that a journey could come to an end so suddenly. After months of hard travel, the child and I finally reached Santiago de Compostela. In the evening, we attended Mass in the great cathedral, then started to roam the town looking for my dear Jack. It was almost dawn when finally a priest pointed me to an inn close by.
Dobra. Tak, to jest skończenie.